Nebraska has another huge recruiting weekend on their hands, hosting multiple 4-star and potential 5-star prospects on campus this Saturday. So in today's video, I'm going to go over every single player visiting, who these guys are, what they bring to the table, their interest in the Huskers, what other schools are in the mix, everything you need to know about them, and then when it's all said and done, whether or not they will commit to the Big Red. And then we just got some huge news. The Huskers may finally get their first defensive line commit in the class of 26. Yes, you heard me correctly. We'll talk about who that player is and what's been going on behind the scenes. And then last but not least, we're going to have an honest conversation around Nebraska quarterback TJ Lateef. Yes, he's been balling out, but the big question is, what can the Huskers do to keep him here and keep him away from the transfer portal? We'll talk about that and so much more. So real quick, if you're on a good Thursday, I know I am, hit that like button. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? For daily contact on Huskers, it's a no-brainer. Take 2 seconds, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. I want to get things started with the recruiting visitors this weekend. Then we'll get to the big defensive line news in the class of 26. Sure want to see that. And last but not least, we'll talk about TJ Lateef in the future of this quarterback room. But let's go to all the visitors this weekend. We know it's a smaller weekend. Of course, we're only playing Houston Christian. They're loading up for next week versus Michigan. There's going to be a bunch of big-time prospects in the 26, 27, and 28 classes. But with that being said, there's still some decent players coming this Saturday. So let's get things started. In the class of 27, one of our biggest priority offensive linemen out of Littleton, Colorado, none other than Reese Russell. Now, this will be the second time he's visiting, has a bunch of really good offers around the country, whether that's from LSU, Tennessee, Penn State, over 25 of them. But he's made it very clear that he's down to 2 schools, Nebraska and Washington. And he's also made another thing very clear, that he's going to commit likely by the end of the year, going into November, going into December. He wants to wrap things up pretty quickly. So Reese Russell is somebody who checks a lot of boxes. Obviously, 6'4", 290 pounds. I mean, just look at his picture, right? He looks like a future Nebraska Cornhusker. He looks like a corn-fed boy. So we need him here on this offensive line. But Nebraska, they've done a really good job recruiting already in the class of 27 with this offensive line, going after multiple 4-star, 5-star guys. And Reese Russell is somebody who does have that high upside, comes from a great family, is a hard worker. I mean, just watch his film. It is nuts. He's pancaking guys left and right. So Reese Russell, this will be his first time visiting for a real game. He was at the spring game for Nebraska, but he's made it very clear that the Huskers right now are arguably the favorite. So I'd watch out for this name. Then we'll get to the 28 prospects. There are no 26 prospects visiting, only one 27 prospect, but there are some really good 28 prospects that you're going to want to remember down the line because they could be future 5-stars, future top 100 4-stars. I mean, you just go to Jevin Severson here first. He's out of Iowa. He's already a top 100 player in the class of 28, the number 3 tight end in America. He's 6'5", 230 pounds, and granted, he's only about 15 years old, so he can still grow. He could get up to 6'6", 6'7", right? He could be a Mod Hudson height, but Jevin Severson, somebody who, I mean, I was watching him on film. I was very much impressed with his speed, explosiveness. He can block at a high level for only being 15. Obviously, he has that great catch radius with his frame, with his long arm. So Nebraska, they've made him a priority very early on. They've done a really good job locking down the state of Iowa. Has some decent offers already, whether it's from Ole Miss, Kentucky. So just watch out for this name. But Nebraska trying to get him down the line, but definitely a big-time target in the class of 28. And then keeping in the state of Iowa in the class of 28, you have Jaden Stevens, who's somebody who's 6 foot tall, 180, bunch of really good offers regionally, super fast, can play running back, wide receiver, DB, put him all over the field. So Nebraska, they've already offered him. They don't know what position they're going to put him at just yet. I'd say probably going to be a DB, but again, still remains up in the air, but somebody who has a lot of upside. Watch out for this name, already a top 150 player in that class. And then last but not least, if there's any player you want to remember from this video, probably besides the guy we're about to talk about, the potential defensive line commit, I want you to remember this one. This is Micah Santiago coming out of our own backyard, coming out of Bellevue West in Omaha, Nebraska. He is already the number 1 player in the class of 28 in our state. He's picked up offers already from Florida State, Iowa State, and he's about to blow up. He's had a great sophomore season so far. So again, he's 6'2", 300 pounds, incredibly powerful, great bull rush, high upside. He checks a lot of boxes. I'm very impressed with him. I didn't know his name a year ago, and I started watching his film, seeing what he was doing at Bellevue West, and I was like, who is this guy? Well, Micah Santiago, that's who that guy is. So this is somebody who Nebraska, he's been on their radar for a long time. He's checking out the program this Saturday. I expect Nebraska to offer him this Saturday because, again, he's literally a couple games away from breaking out and getting SEC offers left and right. He already got Florida State involved. He's going to get some big ones very, very soon here. But again, Torrey Pittman's the #1 player in this state in the class of 27. This is somebody who's the #1 player in the class of 28 and could also very well be a top 100 player. So just watch out for Micah Santiago. You want to remember that name because he's in our own backyard. After that, those are literally the only guys visiting. Again, next weekend's the big one, right? We're going to have a bunch of 4-star, 5-star talent in both the 26 and 27 classes against Michigan. But again, smaller weekend, but still some guys who you need to remember for the future. All right, let's get to the big news. In the class of 2026, we know Nebraska, they're struggling right now. They don't have one of the best classes. It's one of the worst in the Big Ten. But really, the big problem right now is Nebraska, we have 0 defensive linemen. We missed out on Valden-Soni, Titan Davis, some of our top prospects. That's about to change. I don't know if you guys saw the news yesterday, but Nebraska just offered a brand new player in the class of 26. He's an edge rusher committed to Michigan, none other than Julian Walker. Now, there's a couple reasons why this is significant. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, we only offered him. What is that supposed to mean? Number one, if you offer somebody this late in the process, going into their senior year, he's already started his senior year. If you offer him this late, it means you're putting in work behind the scenes. It means you're pushing to get him on a visit. It means you're pushing to get him to commit. So that's the first reason why it's incredibly significant, because usually teams, they offer going into your sophomore year. They offer 3 years in advance. If we're offering them now, it means we're pushing hard. Okay, so that's the first thing. And the second most important reason why this is incredibly significant, remember when we talked about a month or two ago about Nebraska hiring a new defensive line recruiting assistant? Okay, his name is Anthony Johnson. I don't know if you recall, what school did he come from? Yeah, he came from Michigan. Guess who this guy's committed to? Yeah, he's committed to Michigan. Okay, so Anthony Johnson is the staffer that we got, again, from Michigan. He was recruiting on the defensive line for them. He was one of the reasons why Julian Walker ended up committing the Wolverines. And I told you guys at the time, watch out for this staffer because he's going to start offering guys. He's going to start trying to flip some of these Michigan guys that he landed originally, and that's exactly what's happening. So again, Julian Walker is somebody, he's a top 150 player in America, right? He's 6'6", 250, dominant film out of South Carolina, great swim move. He's great in the running game, can bull rush you. He's incredibly physical. So just watch out for this name. If Nebraska offered him this late in the process, it means we're putting work behind the scenes, right? It means we're pushing to get him on a visit. And you know what I'm expecting? I'm expecting him to visit next weekend versus Michigan. Okay, why not roll the dice? Say, you know what? You're already committed to Michigan. You can go watch your team up front personal. But here's the caveat. You're going to watch Nebraska too. If Nebraska beats your team, you might change your opinion. Okay, so just watch out for Julian Walker. But things are going on behind the scenes with the defensive line in the class of 26. And then again, going to some other guys I have my eyes out for. Again, Titan Davis, I don't think it's over for Titan. I'll continue to reiterate that. Again, he's committed to Michigan. I'll tell you this right now. If Michigan struggles this year, and it's looking that way, obviously with them losing to Oklahoma, they have a tough schedule down the road. Let's say they only win 8 games. They only win 7 games. Let's say Nebraska beats them next week. Could absolutely see the Huskers circle back. Now, is Titan Davis visiting next weekend? That's not going to be the case unless we see something crazy happen last second. But again, I still think Titan Davis could be in play for Nebraska. But it all depends on us winning and Michigan losing. You know, Mikhail Blade could be still in there. And then I get a lot of questions around Valden-Soni. I do think Valden-Soni is going to be a lot harder to flip given Georgia's more of a proven program. Like, they're still going to win probably 11, 12 games this year. But again, I do believe when it's all said and done, Nebraska, we will land probably 2 or 3 defensive linemen. It's going to take money. It's going to take winning. But I do have confidence in the staff that they can do just that. So I want to give you guys that update around the defensive line in the class of 26. And then last but not least, I want to have a conversation because this is something I get all the time, especially after what we did versus Akron. This is around TJ Lateef. Now, we know that TJ only played a couple drives versus the Zips, and he was lights out. He was phenomenal, right? Not only with his arm, with his decision-making, with his poise. You don't see that from true freshmen too often, but with his running ability, with his legs. He was phenomenal. So the big question is, what can Nebraska do to keep him here? Because you know, and we all know this, in the transfer portal, teams get desperate, okay? And they start looking at other schools and looking at what they got, okay? So I would not be surprised if at the end of the year, let's say Fresno State's desperate, okay, they got no quarterbacks. They say, you know what? Let's go bring in TJ Lateef. He's from California. We'll pay him, $700,000 to come over here and see if Nebraska can match that. Okay, that's going to happen, likely. Okay, if TJ Lateef continues to play like he's playing, it is a real possibility that even maybe a power forward school calls him up. Okay, what can Nebraska do to keep him here? And I know I'm going to get this comment. I'm going to get 1 or 2 comments. They're going to say, well, TJ's staying no matter what. That's not necessarily the case because we know that money talks. And we know that with quarterbacks, they want to play. Okay, or I'm also going to get this comment that TJ is officially gone. There's no way he stays. That's also not true. Okay, it's definitely up in the air. There's a lot of variables. But there's 2 main ways Nebraska can keep him in town, okay, for the foreseeable future. Okay, number 1, you have to let TJ know the plan. Okay, you let him know that, hey, Dylan Raiola is going to be our quarterback this year. He's going to be our quarterback in 26, but after that, you are the guy, no question about it, okay? You are the guy. In TJ Lateef in 2027, he's going to be a 3rd-year player, and really the only guys he's going to be competing against are probably Trey Taylor and Dayton Raiola. He should win that battle. I loved what Trey Taylor's doing, but TJ's a really good quarterback, and TJ's going to have 2 or 3 years under his belt. So again, they need to let TJ know the plan. That TJ, okay, you are the guy going into your 3rd year. No debate, no, there's no conversation around it. You are going to be the guy. So just stick around. They need to make that abundantly clear to him. And then number 2, you got to pay up, right? Because there are going to be some teams that get desperate. We know the transfer portal makes desperate teams. So they'll start throwing around money recklessly. Nebraska has to be willing to match. If you believe in TJ, okay? If this staff does not believe in TJ and does not believe he can be a future first-round NFL draft pick, like maybe I believe, then if a team starts coming in here recklessly and they offer him a lot of money, you don't have to match that. Okay, you can let him walk. But if you, like me, believe that he could be a great quarterback for Nebraska, a great dual threat option, somebody who has NFL aspirations, and a team comes in here offering $700,000, you got to match that, or at least give them some competitive. Okay, and tell them the plan. Say, hey, it's much better for you to play here in year 3 than go to Fresno State in year 2. Okay, it's way better for you to be at a successful program and be given the reins rather than you go to a crappy program and struggle. Okay, that's the only way he stays here, in my opinion. Okay, it is going to be a concern. It is going to be something that we have to talk about as the season progresses because we know the transfer portal is crazy. Okay, teams get crazy, right? And I remember talking on the phone with TJ's dad about 1 year ago today. I mean, it was back in October of last year, probably. It was around when TJ was playing in playoffs for his high school team. And I was talking to his dad on the phone. I was asking him about Nebraska. And his dad said, yeah, when TJ gets there as a true freshman, he's going to be in the mix to start. He's going to be in the mix to be that premier backup who the fan base falls in love with. And I remember hearing that from his dad and not really believing it too much. Like, I was always really high on TJ, but that's lofty expectations for a true freshman, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and really eat that up. But he was right. Okay. But one thing that his dad also says that TJ wants to play, and he's not going to sit on the bench for an extended period of time. So my concern is, let's say UCLA gets really desperate, right? Maybe they offer the bag to TJ. He might take that, right, to go play in year 2. Then sit for another year for Nebraska and they'd be given the reins in year 3. So Nebraska, they got to make it abundantly clear that, hey, it's going to be better for your development to sit 1 more year to be our backup, and then you're going to be the guy going to year 3 and you're going to shine. So that's the only thing I'd say around him. But I want to address that because I get a lot of comments pretty much every single day after the Akron game. Like, what can we do to keep TJ here? That's pretty much the only thing we can do. Everything else we really can't control. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below about everything. Hey, if you made this far in the video, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe. As always, folks, go Greg, go Met Rule, and I'll see you in the next one.